Hey everyone, this is MrAddOil again, helping you fight your today for your better tomorrow. And today we're going to be talking about goal management and specifically how I use OKRs or objectives and key results as my main goal management framework for 2019. First, we'll talk about the challenges that most people have, right? Do you find yourself in the beginning of every new year, you're like, I'm gonna get fit, I'm gonna save X amount of money, I'm gonna get a new job or any type of goal. But then once December of that year rolls around and then New Year starts coming up, you're like, man, I've never accomplished the goals that I originally wanted to accomplish at the beginning of the year. And that's because people usually set their goals and forget them. So one of the challenges that this type of goal management framework is trying to address is to tackle that problem of setting goals and forgetting it, because later on we're going to talk about how I use this OKR goal management framework to track your goals on a weekly level. And why are we talking about OKRs? So remember, this video is about personal goal management, but I pulled OKRs. This is a goal management best practice that big tech companies like Google and even big nonprofits like the Gates Foundation, they use to track their goals. So it could be said that, this framework really works, right? But it's designed for like bigger companies, but I found out that you can also use this powerful goal management framework for your own personal goals. And how should you use this piece of content? Well, aside from this video content that you're looking at now, I'm gonna have a link in my description for the actual blog post that I wrote on this topic. There you'll also find a link to a Google spreadsheet that you can look at and also copy into your own Google Drive as a template to start your goal management right away. So now we're in the Google spreadsheet that I created as a template for you guys to copy and paste and use as your own OKRs goal management framework. So first we would like to cover the few vocabularies around OKRs, right? So we'll go step by step in talking about some concepts. So what are OKRs? So it'll be this one right here. So they stand for objectives and key results. It was created by Intel and is used by big tech companies like Google. And like I said, it's created to manage like an entire organization from top like CEO, board of directors, all the way down to individual contributors like software developers, salespeople. So, but for the purposes of our time here, we're going to talk about OKRs and how you can use them for personal goal management. So the next definition that we should talk about is, what are objectives? So objectives are the thing, I would say they're the quantitative statement that you would say about a goal, right? Like for example, like I have a goal of losing more weight. So it's a qualitative statement, of a goal that you want to accomplish. And then key results are the quantitative statements that are attached or associated to objectives, right? So key results are things that you can actually measure and they're qualitative in nature. So going back to that example of like, I want to lose weight. Well, a key result could be, I plan to lose 5 pounds each month. So it's measurable, it's quantitative, and you can track and measure that. In terms of habits are the things that you develop and then they become automatic after you develop them. And I include habits as a part of the goal management strategy because habits are the core foundation of how goals are achieved, right? Because they are the daily rituals that we do automatically. So once you train your habits, then it will help you accomplish the next thing, which is skills. Skills are things that is basically what you do. And then skills are defined or determined by how well you do them or how not well, how bad you do them, right? And then habits help you build skills. And then on top of that, the next concept that we'll talk about are projects, right? Projects are like the combination of habits, skills, or they're basically tasks, right? That it takes longer, probably more than like a day or two for you to accomplish. But in order for you to successfully accomplish these projects, you need to have good habits that have great skills in them for you to tackle these projects. And in terms of how often you should set your goals, you should set your goals the beginning of, or 1 month before, or a couple months before a new year. And that's just like your, first template of like what type of things you want to accomplish the next year. And then after you set them, you review your goals on a weekly level and then you adjust them. But normally you will set like a year goal 1 or 2 months before a new year approaches. So annual goals are goals that I would say top 4 things that you scope out in the beginning of a year. And quarterly objectives or quarterly goals, they're goals that align up to your annual goals, but then they're distributed amongst the 4 quarters in a year. And then your goal in each of these quarters is to achieve those quarterly objectives. So now we're going to talk about best practices when it comes to goal management and goal setting, right? So first, you want to start off with your annual goals first and really understand like the big picture of what you're trying to accomplish for that year. Then you work backwards and you start setting quarterly objectives. And then after your quarterly objectives, you start working on the key results inside those objectives. So let's say your objective is, and then I think, what was his name? Tracy Bryan or something. He mentioned that when you're setting goals, this is something that I'm going to adopt into my objective setting practices, which is you could, or you don't have to, but you can set your objective as a question, saying that how can I lose weight in Q1 of 2019 or something, right? And then that would help you start creating better key results. So how will I lose like more weight in Q1? Then the key result could be go to the gym 3 times a week, or eat vegetarian 3 times, or Monday to Friday. Stuff like that. So that's really helpful. So frame your objective as a question, and then that will help you define and determine what the key results or things that you need to accomplish to achieve that quarterly objective or objective. And the next one would be, the whole point of setting goals is the concept of less is more. You do not want to set 100, even like 10 goals. Like, you don't want to set a lot of goals. The whole point of setting goals is to focus on a few things that are key and vital for you to accomplish. You should think of the 80-20 rule, where you get 80% of the outcomes from 20% of the work. So when you're setting goals, you want to think of what do I really value? What do I need to do that will help me achieve what I value? And then for everything else that's not on your top value list, you just eliminate them. And like I said, objectives, they're qualitative statements. And then I would also recommend that you state them or write them as a question. And the key results, they have to be measurable. You don't want to be like, that's what your objective is for, right? It's a qualitative statement or a question. And key results are the quantitative statements that can be measured and tracked per week. And a good practice is you check and update your OKRs on a weekly level. I would recommend that you set a repeating calendar a calendar event every week where it alerts you to update and track your goals. And the last best practice I want to talk about is habits, skills, and projects help you achieve your key results. So you always start on a habit level of like, okay, for this quarter, because I have this objective, I need these habits and these skills to help me achieve or finish these key results. And projects, they're not directly correlated. They're not key results, but there are those bigger task items that you need to complete in order for you to complete your key results. So that's what we'll be talking about next, where I break down what it takes to scope out your yearly goals and your quarterly goals, and then I'll touch upon habits, skills, and projects. Great, so we're gonna talk about how you set your annual goals, right? So in front of me, I have the top 4 annual goals that I wanna accomplish, and they're kind of divided by career, business, finance, and health. Like I mentioned, I recommend that you only have around 4 goals max per year so that you have extreme focus. And once you accomplish these 4 items, then you can say that your year was successful to you, right? So there's a lot of mentors out in YouTube or just like influencers who say that happiness is the state of progressing, or happiness is attached to progress. So this is super helpful to make sure that you can stay happy throughout the year as you revisit your goals on a weekly level and you're seeing yourself making progress. Then you can be like, wow, you can be happy for that, because you're one of the few people who actually define your own success, tracks it, and accomplishes them. So that's really awesome. So for the spreadsheet that I have, once you update a number here, it updates everything. So it updates it on the objective level and also on the overall total progress level. So if I put 52 here, there should be some sort of movement up here. Actually, it's not working, but I'll fix that. That came to my attention. But when you're operating this for yourself, you don't really need to look at this yearly level annual goals spreadsheet all the time. Just look at this and update it after a quarter has transpired, right? So let's go to the next tab, which is quarterly objectives, right? And these quarterly objectives, they also mirror my annual goals, right? So it's still categorizing career, business, finance, and health, but then it's breaking down those big annual goals into quarterly chunks. So when you're actually practicing these weekly OKR updates, you're gonna be in the quarterly objective level. So each week you would update numbers here like, oh, I just went through my 5th week of this coding bootcamp. I just published 10 blogs up to now, stuff like that. So you would basically tinker with the numbers on your quarterly objectives. On to the next tab, right? Habits. You don't really need to update them. It's just things that you would just put them in at the beginning of a quarter and be like, these are the habits that I need to have in order for me to achieve my key results. You can make whatever habits up that you need accordingly. Like for example, because I needed to do a part-time job while doing my coding bootcamp, I needed to wake up at 6 a.m. preferably, or around 6 a.m. in order to do that. And then another habit I needed to practice was saying no to things that were not aligned to my OKRs, right? So those are habits that you need to practice. And then moving on to the skills tab, these are the things, these are the skills that you need to accomplish your key results, right? So when it comes to like YouTubing, blogging, stuff like that, I would need to just build the skill of like researching like SEO ranking keywords. For programming, it's like understanding how to map out the MVP development roadmap before actually coding, stuff like that. These are skills that you would attribute to key results, right? Like in order for you to accomplish, let's go back to the quarterly objective. Like if you need to accomplish creating 13 blog posts for the quarter, then you can break that key results down into habits that you need to do on a daily level and skills you need to develop to accompany your habits to complete those key results. And finally, to the last tab, projects, right? So these things, depending on the difficulty of your key results, you might need to create some projects in your quarter, right? Like for me, the most relevant example would be, in order for me to have a chance of applying for a software developer job, the project that I need to complete is finishing the Thinkful block coding bootcamp within 3 months, right? So projects are basically tasks that takes a little bit longer to accomplish, and then you accomplish them using, the same building blocks of habits, skills, and projects are associated with a key results. So yeah, we covered a lot, but I want you to start taking action, right? So the first thing is, in the description, click on the blog post, read it through. It's more comprehensive than this video. There's probably a lot of topics or a lot of concepts that are better described in that blog post. And then most importantly, when you get to the blog post, click on this hyperlink that links to this Google spreadsheet template for you to copy and paste so that you can get started on creating your own goals. And if you like this piece of content, please subscribe, like my video, and then also contribute your thoughts and comments on how you manage your goals for 2019 or even in the past. And I'd love to learn from you, and then we can have a discussion there. That's all I have for today. So the key takeaways is, if you're struggling with New Year's resolutions, you're making goals but you're never accomplishing them, you might need to consider upping your goal management framework. And I subscribe to this OKR goal management framework because it's been working a lot for me. And I hope that maybe in 2019, this will be the year where you adopt something new, try something new, challenge yourself, like adopting this OKRs goal management framework so that you can accomplish the goals you want, or that your heart desires for this new year 2019. Again, this is MrAddOil, helping you fight your today for your better tomorrow.